Hi, I'm Dana, and today I really want to talk about how I've been handling and accommodating to my sensory issues regarding sound and noise, because it's one of the big things that I didn't realise was such an issue for me. And the more that I've realised it's an issue and the more that I've accommodated to it and worked towards not having it be such an issue, the more I've been forced to realise how much of an issue it is for me. Like, I've spent a lot of time in my life feeling very wrong and very off-put and very uncomfortable and disoriented and just not okay, and not being able to place my finger on why. So realising that it was sound sensitivities and sensory issues regarding noise and sounds was a really big step towards me being able to actually look at fixing it and accommodating towards myself and figuring out how I actually can accommodate to it rather than just avoiding loud spaces. Because I feel like that's something that we're just encouraged to do as autistic people, is just like avoid crowds, avoid loud spaces, avoid bright places, avoid things that cause sensory difficulties, and that's all very well and good, but I don't want to miss out on living my life and being a person and going places and seeing people, you know? Like, it's already difficult enough trying to be an autistic person without my head and my eyes and just everything feeling wrong and weird because things are too loud or they're the wrong frequency or whatever else. So I wanted to make this video without the excessively long intro, I'm very sorry, about the things that I'm using to do that, to accommodate to my sensory issues. So the first things that I want to talk about are ones that you'll have heard about before if you've been following me, which is loop and flare. I have an entire video that I'll link here about loop and flare and the differences between them and which ones I prefer. So I'm not going to do like an excessively long part here to make up for the intro, but I am going to talk about them both because they're both like things that I do use, and I use all of these things in conjunction with each other. However, I did also recently get some noise cancelling headphones, and that's the main thing I want to talk about. I need you to either settle or leave. Okay, so flares were the first things that I ever used to try to help with sensory issues when I first noticed I was having some. I'm currently using these very fun little like mint coloured ones. They just sit in your ear. They're very discreet. They're very, oh god, if I could fit it into my ear. Yeah, see, quite, okay, I didn't realise that. I didn't think you could see them that much. I don't feel like you can see them that much, especially if you've got like a bit of hair or whatever, you know. It's very discreet, very comfortable, and I really love Flare Calmer because my voice quality then when I put that in didn't change. My voice in my head still sounds the same, and the things that I hear in the world around me, like other people talking, like if I'm watching something, even just like I've got a cat fountain here and there's like a little tiny very quiet trickle of water that doesn't bother me, I can still hear that. It's just that like other frequencies, like if I have my bedroom door open and the washer's going, or the fridge is like making weird sounds as it does sometimes, things like that, or if there's like an especially large amount of traffic, you can still hear the thing. They just take away the frequencies that make it all a bit uncomfortable and not very nice. And they were initially the things that I used for like going grocery shopping and the like, when there's like lots of beeping and talking, and that's where I get most like overwhelmed and disoriented and feel like I just need to like put everything down and leave. And they definitely were the first step towards me being like, oh shit, like things actually do help with this. Like it's not me being weird or making it up, or just that's how I feel in some situations. I mean, that is just how I feel in some situations, but it's because of the sound. It is an active issue that I can try to tackle. So after that, I really wanted loops, and my ex got me these for like Christmas or my birthday or something at some point. They're not as discreet, okay? Like, I feel like you can see them way more, and I'm trying to not be bothered by that so much. I'm trying to like just not care if I like look autistic or whatever, but I'm just not as impressed by the loops. And the more I wear them, the less impressed I think I am, honestly. I feel like they massively do change the tone of my voice inside my head. Like I can hear myself way too much and I can't hear other people talking well enough. I mostly use these in place of where I should probably use actual earplugs. These are like my like bar, pub, loud music, everything's too loud and I just don't want to hear any of it kind of earplugs. I do sometimes use them if I'm shopping on my own, but like I can't hear my housemate talking to me if I have these in, you know, like, and we do a food shop together, so I would wear flares then. They just block out way too much for me, and they do the echoey, you can hear yourself too much in your head, and I really hate that, and I really love that the flares don't do that. But like I say, there was a video that will have been linked before that you can go back to that's going in depth just on those two because they're the two that I've had for the longest time. So now I want to get into my headphones. These are just a pair of JBL. Wait, I'll get the box. We'll find out what these are. Right, these are the JBL 7-tune 760NC wireless pure bass sound active noise cancelling headphones. They were not cheap. They were 70 quid. They're definitely not cheap. But in the realm of like noise cancelling headphones, they were pretty much the cheapest I could find that were like a real brand. And I just didn't know how much I trusted like random brands that I'd never heard of before, you know. If I'm getting wireless headphones, I want them to just work and do the job and not be like... I was worried that if I got a cheap pair and they didn't work well, I'd think that like noise cancelling doesn't help me, noise cancelling is useless for me, noise cancelling isn't for me, and I might be wrong, and then years down the line I might get a more expensive pair and be like, holy crap, I could have done with this the whole time, you know. So I wanted to get a sort of like mid-ground pair where it's like they're good enough that I can tell if it's helping or not, but I don't need to immediately go in and spend like £300 on headphones, you know, like I can't do that, there's too much money. So I like unboxed them and been very excited and plugged them into charge, and then went to a friend's house and didn't really think much about it. I came back and I love my friends, I really adore my friends at the minute, but as with like I think most autistic people and most people that have like any sort of neurodivergency, spending time around people is kind of exhausting, and a lot of the time it's quite overwhelming, and you've got like so much going on in your head to try and like socialise and be a person, and like it's all just kind of a lot. So most of the time when I get home, I want like 2 hours to myself to just decompress and not do anything that like requires any sort of thought. Like I won't even like often, like unless I'm like really fixated on something, a lot of the time I won't even like engage in a special interest or anything. I will literally watch like toy unboxings on YouTube, or just like something where I do not have to have a thought in my brain, you know, for like 2 hours until I feel like I'm a person again and everything feels like it's like settled and normal and not weird. Ow. But I'd gotten home and I was like, oh my god, my headphones are charged, I should like see what these things do, what are they like? And I put them on and I was like, wow. Like it felt like everything was just regulating really quickly, like everything that normally happens in my like 2 hour slot was just happening in like 10 minutes. Otis. And I was like suddenly absolutely fine again instead of it taking like 2 hours. It was madness. So I've been wearing them. I am about to become that autistic person that like very nearly always has noise cancelling headphones on. But this is where we come into the pros and cons and the like positives and negatives of it that I want to talk about. Because although I do feel like they help in like the sense of me being an autistic person having noise difficulties, like we've had some like thunder and lightning storms recently, sometimes my housemate plays music I'm not the biggest fan of, you know, whatever's going on that's like we've got a neighbour that keeps playing music and singing, that's way more of an issue than my housemate is. But you know, things like that where it's like a very loud noise and just putting in some like flares or whatever would not do anything to help. I've been wearing these and they are massively helpful. However, as someone who's like experienced trauma, I hate saying it, I'm sorry, it makes me feel weird, but you know, as someone who's been in situations where I spent a very, very lengthy amount of time feeling very unsafe and being like hyper vigilant and like, I constantly feel like I can hear someone saying my name, or like I can hear footsteps behind me, or just like someone's coming, and the only person it'll be is my housemate. But there's still this like, when I'm wearing them, when I'm using them, I'm constantly like, oh my god, who's that, what, who's coming? Like it really freaks me out and it bothers me a bit, because like, see, I've had people be like, are you sure they're not hallucinations? It's like, no, because they're only happening when I'm wearing these headphones. And it's like, I'm not hearing my name, but I'm like, oh my god, someone said my name, I'm being called, and they're going to be annoyed if I don't reply because I'm wearing my headphones, I didn't hear them, so I'd better check. And no one's calling my name, I don't live at home anymore, like no one's shouting at me, it's fine. But I keep checking and I keep feeling unsafe, and like someone is going to be there and I'm not enjoying it very much. And it also means that like I don't hear when my housemate is there. So there's been several times that I've turned around and he's just there and I've like absolutely shit one. And it's kind of funny because like my housemate is one of my best friends. He's like, I know that he's completely chill and safe and like I don't have to worry, you know, so it's all right. And it's funny afterwards, but like the way that my heart fucking stops when it first happens and like there's just suddenly someone there, like it's really fucking horrible. And like I say, I think that's more that I've like experienced trauma and the like than it is like an autism thing, but also most autistic people have experienced trauma of some sort, so a lot of us are going to be in that boat. That being said, as much as they're helpful, and as much as like I don't feel like in the same way as with the earplugs, it's not the same way of having my voice be too much in my head, but there is still like an element of that, like because I can't hear how loud I'm talking, it weirds me out and I feel like I need to either shout or whisper. Like I just haven't quite figured out what voice to use while wearing them yet. And like it should be obvious that it's just my normal voice, but I can't hear my normal voice, so that makes it kind of tricky. But at least it's not echoing around inside my own head. That is a definite upside. However, it also means that like I can't hear other people's voices. And obviously that's like a different feature depending on what headphones you have. Some of them you'll be able to hear like voices and like I made a TikTok about this essentially, like about my first little point of like constantly thinking someone's calling my name, and lots of people said that like theirs have different features and functions that mean they can hear this and not hear that and so on and so forth, which sounds awesome. Definitely aspiring to have like headphones like that at some point, but you know, for what they are, for like my first pair of noise cancelling headphones that were pretty cheap in the like grand scheme of wireless noise cancelling headphones, I'm definitely not upset with them by any means. It does mean that I've not worn them around like people as such though, and like for example I mentioned that I've been wearing them during storms. I really don't like storms. It's another sensory thing where it's like they don't give me a headache per se, but they make my head feel funny, they make me feel wrong, they make me feel very like I'm waiting for something, I'm very disoriented. It feels all wrong and I hate it. I don't like storms at all. So I was wearing them through a storm, and then one of my friends messaged saying they were back in the area, and it was the first time they've been back in a little while, and they've been like going about a lot, and like I don't know when I'm gonna get to see them next. So I was really like, I'm gonna go and see my friend, I'm gonna wear my headphones because they'll help me because there's a storm happening. And, you know, maybe I'll have to strain to hear, maybe I'll have to be like, you guys need to talk up because I'm wearing these because they make me feel a lot better. And then at the last minute I just put them back on the side. I didn't even take them with me, and it's one of those things where like it's definitely like an internalized ableism. I don't want to be the person that like looks that autistic, you know, because it is like the stereotype of you see the autistic person as they've got their noise cancelling headphones that they never take off. And as much as like I've never judged anyone else for doing that, you know, I have plenty of friends that use noise cancelling headphones and I don't think anything of them, you know. I just see that they're wearing headphones sometimes and I talk to them and they can clearly hear me, and then we talk back and I just don't think about it because we're fine. But it just I didn't do it, and I felt like I couldn't, and I felt like there'd be judgments on me because like I'm not normally that autistic, you know. I've never had noise cancelling headphones before, and it's the thing of like, well, you've not had them before, so do you really need them? And it's like, yo, I didn't know how bad things were until they weren't there anymore, you know. I didn't know that I could feel that much more comfortable. I didn't know that it was possible for me to accommodate to my sensory issues like this in a way that makes me feel so much better. Otherwise, I would have done it much sooner. But to like bring these things in now and to accommodate to these things now, it looks like I'm like boosting the level of visible autism or visible disability or something. I feel very uncomfortable with it and very put off by it, despite knowing full well that my friends are other autistic people and neurodivergent people, or at least people that are friends with lots of neurodivergent people, so they're going to, if not understand, at least not be assholes about it. I know these aren't people that can't judge me. I'm the only person judging me here for this. And yet I still left them behind and didn't accommodate to myself and didn't make myself more comfortable in a situation where I very easily could have done so. I'm sorry, I started ripping the hem of my t-shirt as like a little stim because this is a really old t-shirt, but now loads of it has come off and I really just need to get the rest of it. I'm just ripping my clothes live on camera now. At least it's not like actually live, like we've got that going. I'm going to have to try and use this for something now. Look at that, a whole band of hem. Yeah, it's one of those things that I feel like is a mix of negatives and positives for me, but weighing more heavily to like the positive side of things. And I think that one of the most important things for me is realising that like I can have multiple things to accommodate to myself with, you know, like more often than not, it's the flare karma that I reach for. They're the ones that I use the most. They're the ones that most help me with my sensory issues. But then the loops are really, really helpful in other situations. And then in other situations, it's the headphones that are really helpful, you know? And I think that there's an idea of like we're supposed to be able to just find this one thing that helps and go with that and deal with it. But it's way better to have like multiple options and be able to go between. And they each have like their own positives that mean that they can work as like a little set together for me. And that's also where, like, this isn't a video of me recommending that you get noise cancelling headphones. This isn't me saying they're going to work for you. This is not an ad for, like, these specific headphones either. I just told you what they are because I've got them and I like them. Hi.
Do you want coffee?
Yes, please.
Do you want iced coffee?
Yes, please.
Are you filming?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. But I think I'd have really appreciated having someone just share their thoughts and experience of them. Because, like, I don't like just constantly asking my neurodivergent friends, like, so do you do this? What do you think about this? How do you feel about that? Because, like, I don't think any of them mind, but it's also, like, I like to talk to my friends about things other than just, oh, so we're both autistic. And I feel like it's also difficult because a lot of the time, like, it's difficult to find, like, the language and the words and how to describe the experiences that we have when we are experiencing, like, sensory discomfort. So it's very hard to explain, like, how it helps or what it does to prevent or, like, accommodate or assist or whatever else. You know, and I'm not great at it. I know that I've used some words and terms in this video that people are probably going to be kind of like, what? But also it's like, if you get it, you get it. So it's like, if you understand what I'm saying and what I go through and what I deal with, that's because you're probably dealing with it too. So there is a fair chance that you'll react and have, like, the same experience as me when it comes to these sorts of accommodations. And that being said, there's going to be lots of other people that don't relate to this and don't have these sensory issues, and these things wouldn't help. So as always, it'd be lovely if you could pop off down in the comments with things that you find helpful, ways that you accommodate to yourself, ways that just pop off, just tell me what you fancy telling me. I'd love to hear it all. And I think that, you know, like, more and more often the comment section is becoming a bit of, like, a discussion ground for things, and I really appreciate that. I love seeing you, like, talk between yourselves and whatever. If someone did recently point out that, like, all of my commenters are over 30, and I was like, yeah. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm happy enough that, like, people are commenting in general, and you're all lovely, but, like, it is a bit, where are the people my age? If that's not, like, such a typical autism thing, though, like, I spent my entire life around people that are older than me, it really doesn't shock me that I'm doing it again here. And it really doesn't bother me. I don't know why I brought it up. It's because it's the outro, and once I've said the bit about, like, please leave a comment, I have to go to asking you to, like, subscribe to me and to follow me on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram, which will all be linked down below. And after that, if you have money and want to give me some of it, you can donate to me on Ko-fi, and you can also become a Patreon member where you get a little bit of extra content and early uploads, and they'll ad-free as well, unless you're using an ad blocker. Filthy. And you can also become a YouTube member. So yeah, you can do all that stuff, but I just get real awkward before telling you that you can because I don't like having to do it, but also, like, I feel like I'm meant to. Like, I am trying to, like, not necessarily make a career out of this, but I am trying to make something out of it, you know? So if you wanted to follow or donate or do anything, it'd be really nice if you did. And that's the end of the video. I feel like he's planning a bit and he's going to be really annoyed that I've already finished filming. But whoever you are, you won't actually be really annoyed. Like, everything's a joke, everything is banter, everything... I do know I'm defending this. I did a video all about, like, trauma responses and stuff. You can watch it here. But for now, whoever you are and wherever you are, I hope you're having a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year. And I'll see you again in a couple of days.